and let there be a competition for those folks who have what you just described, which is, in my opinion, not a high risk necessarily, but a high reward opportunity if you do it right. And so you have to balance that the scales a little bit. But there are investors, and we need to make sure that you get in touch with some of the folks, because there are a number of those projects around the country, a number of those funds around the country that are actually looking to invest in some of the harder hit economic areas. But you do have to make an actual case for the return on the invested dollar. Because if you're not making that case, you're actually having a conversation about charity and not about investment.
Yes.
Senator, I just a couple of things that we would, at least I would recommend, at least have you consider. One is, we talked a little bit about COVID, and that hit right as this legislation. I mean, we were getting roaring, really getting. You mentioned about National League of Cities, so we actually worked with the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, so the equivalent at the state level. Yeah. Got all of the cities to agree to create one qualified opportunity fund together, right? So that we weren't going to pit all of the cities, and so we were able to get to that level. But then COVID hit, and of course, in a Midwestern state, we're very conservative. We don't have the runaway kind of returns that a California or a Florida might see. We also don't have the bust that they might see. So when something new comes in and then COVID hits, it really put the damper on seeing some of our state money stay here. I would just really, ask you, as you are such a leader in Congress, to consider extending the time frame for the horizon. We've gotten past some of your existing. So it's just for folks in the room. There were two pieces of this. One was you could actually reduce your immediate tax issues. Let's say your family's owned a piece of property for a long time, and now you've got all this capital gain because you own the building outright. The government's going to come back and say you owe a ton of money on that. So most people won't sell the property. Opportunity Zone was a way to actually alleviate people of that immediate tax bill, roll it over, and then be able to make money on the money without paying additional tax liability, right? That's basically the idea. The issue now is that horizon, the legislation really accelerated, get the money in so you could get that initial pop, right? If we could get that sort of reopened and extended, we could get a number of other people in Wisconsin into it now in the second round.
Absolutely.
And the second thing I think is, as I mentioned about losing 40% of our black-owned businesses, there are folks that really know what they're doing. They need some technical assistance, and some of our community development financial institutions are stepping in to do some of that, but they need the capital to go along with it. If we could find a way, the legislation doesn't prohibit it, but it makes it difficult to invest in existing businesses. You usually have to spin off to a new LLC, right? If there were a way for us to extend that POP for people to be able to get a real-time benefit now and create a way for people to be able to invest in existing businesses, so I don't have to divest myself of my own business to move over to this new thing. I think that's two additional ways that would give us more power to get this really roaring post-COVID.
Let us pray.
No, but
it's 100% right.
You said the Bible says, ask not.
Exactly. So James, the book of James says, you have not because you ask not. You ask amiss. So let's ask intentionally. Exactly.
I'm asking.
Let's go with Matthew 7:7 on that one. But at the end of the day, one of the things that we have to recognize here, and it's really important though, is that what we got done in 2017 was done.
This wasn't politics as usual. This was politics for profit. And now that a jury has convicted Bob Menendez, his years of selling his office to the highest bidder have finally come to an end. I want to thank the career prosecutors and law enforcement agents and analysts who meticulously investigated and prosecuted this case. Their work is the reason why this shocking corruption has finally been unearthed and brought to
Wait for America. And so my hope is that in the next Congress coming up, we'll have a bipartisan coalition of Republicans and Democrats, like-minded state leaders and local leaders.
Good afternoon. I'm Christy Curtis. I'm the Acting Assistant Director of the FBI's New York Field Office. Today is a day of victory and victory for justice. Public corruption investigations like this hold our leaders accountable and ensure they serve the public's interest and not their own. They ensure they serve the public's interest and not their own. This conviction comes after careful investigation and hard work by the FBI, IRS, and the U.S. Attorney's Office. The FBI's pursuit of truth and integrity was instrumental in securing this conviction. When an elected official betrays the trust placed in them, it undermines the foundation of our democracy. Thank you.
My name is Manuel Gomez, and I'm with IRS CI Criminal Investigation. I'm Assistant Special in Charge in the New York Field Office. Thank you and good afternoon. Thank you to U.S. Attorney Damian Williams for hosting us today. It is with great commitment and collaboration between IRS Criminal Investigations, the FBI, and SDNY that today's verdict was possible. I would like to recognize the work of the FBI Public Corruption C-Squad, the SDNY Public Corruption Unit, trial attorneys and paralegals for the tremendous effort in presenting this case, and the SDNY tax attorney. I want to specifically recognize the IRSCI special agents who worked this case in tandem with FBI special agents. Today's verdict is a reflection of all their hard work. Job well done.
Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Williams, will you seek the maximum?
I heard you and then I just lost you.
You do need to have the balance of the government doing something on the local level, the state level, and federal level. And in addition to that, you have to find a way to get these investors to look at communities that they haven't looked at before.
And it's possibly a match. I mean,
And it's-
one of the things you can do as the chair is to be able to challenge the community to say, hey, we'll put up X.
And then take those tax dollars and reinvest back in the community where it comes from, so as to have the infrastructure necessary so that you can see development happen faster. Because what we want in the end is more investors.
In the law, we'll be filing extensive post-trial motions to set aside the verdict. We will also be appealing this for as long and as high a level as is necessary to right what I believe is a significant injustice. I don't think that the jury carefully considered the evidence or the arguments of counsel, and we're confident that at the end of the day, Mr. Hanna at least will be fully vindicated. Happy to take any questions.
What's the maximum sentence?
I'm not 100% sure, but it's
might be considering or have online?
Well, I'll tell you. So back in 2017, when
certainly could be a very lengthy sentence for everyone. As you might have heard in court, those are typically filed within 2 weeks. We asked for an extension, and the first set of post-trial motions are due on August 19th. We will file those by that time. Sentencing has been scheduled for October. You can't appeal to a higher level court until after sentencing, and we will certainly do that. If the post-trial motions are denied, we think that there should be a good chance that they'll be granted. Pardon me? I don't know those yet. We filed a number of post-trial motions that made clear that under these statutes, that the conduct at issue was not adequately alleged or supported. We don't think, for example, that there was an adequate quid pro quo that was shown. We also should understand that at least one of the statutes, which has to do with making Senator Menendez an agent of Egypt, has never before or been used before. So there certainly will be challenges to the application of that statute. But the specific grounds will be set forth in our motion practice at the end on August 19th, and those will include certain rulings that the court made during trial, which we certainly will be challenging. Pardon me? He's obviously very disappointed. He's surprised, as a person is, who is convicted of something that they didn't do. As an immigrant from Egypt, he's disappointed that the American system of justice has, in his view, let him down, and I frankly agree with him. We're not involved in the speech or debate issue, so you'll have to ask Senator Menendez's lawyers about that. This is Cesar de Castro's Mr. Davies.
Like Mr. Hahn, like Mr. Lusberg, we are extraordinarily disappointed. We are extraordinarily disappointed in the result. We respect the jury process. We respect this particular jury, of course, but we think the result was wrong. We do not think the government proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Davies, an undisputed friend of Senator Menendez for 40 years, bribed him for any purposes. So we, like Mr. Hahn, and I'm sure you'll hear from the Senator, will also be pursuing all of our appellate rights, starting with motion practice before the court. Mr. Davies will consider this. He will consider what to do next, and we'll make our decisions very soon. This way. This way. This way.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I don't want to reach back. Sorry, I did that in an emergency.
Okay.
We don't.
Guys, you gotta take everything out.
afternoon. Obviously, I'm deeply, deeply disappointed by the jury's decision. I have every faith that the law and the facts did not sustain that decision, and that we will be successful upon appeal. I have never violated my public oath. I have never been anything but a patriot of my country and for my country. I have never, ever been a foreign agent. The decision rendered by the jury today would put at risk every member of the United States Senate in terms of what they think a foreign agent would be. I know my attorney want to say something.
Good afternoon. We were surprised and disappointed with the jury's verdict. We disagree with it, and we believe today, as we have since day one, in Bob's innocence. There are grave appellate problems with this case and with this verdict, and we're going to pursue all appellate avenues aggressively, and we do expect he will be vindicated. Thank you.
Senator.
They go to the sign.
Resign!